Hello, fellow fragrance friends and lovers. How you doing today? What are you wearing? What's your scent of the day? Today we got Fifth Avenue. That's what I want to call it because there's actually two New York fragrances. There's New York Intense and there's this one here today, the New York Fifth Avenue. Not really sure why they would confuse people so much with two different versions. Well, maybe I'll get the review the New York Intense here in the future. But today, Fifth Avenue, and it's still a great fragrance. So, first off, before we get into the fragrance review, you know what to do down below if you want to support this channel: the support, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. And if if you want to learn about fragrance, I don't know of a better place. So this fragrance here is all about the rose. There's bergamot, there's rose, and supposedly there's nargamota as well. I have to tell y'all, I get very little of this nargamota or this oily, smoky, supposedly oily, leathery smokiness. Really, this is all about the rose. This is a happy rose. This feels like walking into a park. I think that's what they were trying to capture. Feels like walking into a park in a city, and there's a bunch of fresh blooming roses, and it's lovely. I do get some of the complexity. Again, this doesn't go dark or leathery or smoky, but there's a little bit of sweet caramel. I can detect a little bit of that in the background, really adding some playfulness. There's some incense, and the incense gives some lift and some airiness, and I do detect the violet, when the violet is kind of balancing out the sweetness of the caramel and adding a confident, maybe slightly fancy attitude with the rose. I like the rose. If I didn't mention how the rose feels, it's more of a fresh pink rose, but it does have a little bit of frills to it. It has a little bit of that, I don't know, cottony vibe, which gives it some balance. It's not just a floral, girly floral. It's got some body, and I can see this fragrance coming together. It's very unisex, and we'll talk about my feelings about that at the end of the fragrance review. So I'm just looking at the notes to double check. They say there's cashmere and gaiac wood. I get the gaiac wood, a little bit of that incense here, and musk. I get perhaps a little bit of the vanilla, but it's just airy. This doesn't go heavy, doesn't go dark vanilla, and it certainly isn't even a big player in the fragrance, the vanilla, but it's nice. And again, I don't get a lot of the cashmere wood, but there is a nice, full-bodied, modern woodiness, kind of like that sheer, almost transparent woodiness to this fragrance. So overall, a fragrance that highlights and focuses on the rose very well, brings rose to you with a few supporting facets and aspects to the fragrance. This fragrance perhaps be simple to some people? Smelling it on my arm, let me do another spray for you. For some people who are deep into niche, especially looking at this price, we'll talk about the value at the end of the video, this might not be as complex as you'd want, but for most people, this is a very enjoyable fragrance that highlights rose very well. Has a good balance of sweetness and woodiness that supports it. And I do detect some of the plantation oud from Fragrance du Bois. And don't get afraid of it. This is a very, their plantation oud is it's like farm raised wood essentially. It doesn't have a lot of the wild, strange, unusual, or animalic features. It's like just a complex sour woody aspect that plays up with the gaiac wood here. So nothing to be afraid of oud wise. And this is a nice trendy fragrance. I want to like it more. I think I have tried a sample of the New York Intense, and the patchouli and the spiciness faintly in my memory. I remember enjoying that one quite a bit. This one here, I'm usually not the biggest fan of rose, but as a guy who some people might consider macho and strong, and I love to work outdoors, and I'm at when I review here, I'm right beside a little wood workshop. This fragrance here, I can pull it off. I could wear this. Now, this is very unisex, and I try to get lots of people's opinions. And I have to tell you that this is going to be perhaps controversial to the modern nose, to the trendy nose, who sees outside of the box of, I guess, traditional norms. I can see this as unisex, and I think a lot of people would say there's no gender in fragrance, and say, Ben, why are you even talking about it? It's not. You shouldn't even mention it. It's a non-issue. Well, I got my dad and quite a few other people to smell this, and they consider this more feminine. I think it's unisex. If you're a guy who likes rose, portrait of a lady, that kind of stuff. I'm not saying it smells the same. I'm just saying if you like rose and florals, and you can make them work for you as a guy, you might be able to pull this one off. But some people are going to find this more feminine. I guess to each their own. I'd love to see what you think about this fragrance in the comment sections below. A lot of people around me find rose, anything rose like, especially pink rose like this, more feminine. Anyways, let's get into that performance. Not a bad performer at all. You're going to get 7 odd hours. Good performance. Maybe even 8 hours. And if you spray a lot, you spray it up on clothes, it'll get you throughout your day. And it has good projection overall and pretty good sillage. It's not a beast, but it's respectable. And it's not a skin scent, but it does have the power or the ability to kind of blend in with your skin and almost come off as you naturally smelling really, really good. And some people like that in fragrances. Some people like their fragrances to stand out more. I think it's well done here. I think that that's nice, but this this is not a skin scent, and this is not a musk that just perfectly blends in, but it does a little bit of that. I did want to mention that because I think that's a part of how this fragrance feels. So that gets into the compliment factor. How good does this smell to the average nose or anybody out there? And how are you likely to feel about this fragrance? This fragrance is likable. Again, some people might not understand paying so much for a rose. This is a higher quality rose, certainly. Does it demand the price? Should it be cost this much? We'll talk about that. But this is an excellently composed rose. People can tell that it's higher quality rose than normal. This is not your cheap rose fragrance, and they also, some people liked the cottony, a little bit of that exotic feel from the oud and the playful caramel and the that nargamotha, the little bit of that suede vibe. Some people felt that this one should be even sweeter. It's not overtly girly, and it's not an overtly a gourmand. Some people who do like the sweet fragrances are going to find this fragrance lacking, that they want it sweeter and more playful, maybe even more girly, if you tend to like the feminine fragrances. So this is definitely in limbo for some people. Some super uber masculine people might not care for it. Some of the uber feminine, I can also see the opposite side. This might not be your jam. This might not be your thing. But this is a nice fragrance. It is. So compliment factor was mixed. Got some pretty good reactions from it. Got some mixed. I don't think this works exactly with my personality. I do have to mention that this is not Benjamin here. This is not something that works with me personally. But I do like it, and I could wear this as a rose. It's just, I don't know, not my personality. So my final thoughts with this fragrance. I think you're going to have to like rose. I think you're going to have to like a pink frilly rose that's not overtly sweet, that's well balanced. This could be a very professional rose fragrance, especially I think for the up-and-coming ladies out of college, something like that. This is really great. I do think that this approaches the Middle Eastern vibe a tiny bit, but doesn't commit fully to it, and it's not going to feel too exotic or strange or unusual that the average Western nose would be off-put with this. So I like that. Does this play up to New York, Fifth Avenue? I do, again, I feel like it's a park. Feels like walking into a park, and it does feel a little bit fancy and definitely smells luxurious. So I can see perhaps where they're going with this. Again, it could have maybe been more fancy or have maybe some fruitiness. I know the ladies, a lot of y'all like the fruity florals, so I do feel like this is a missed opportunity. I think New York is famous for, is it apples? Why not have a little bit of apple in this fragrance? Not too sweet, and a little bit of cinnamon for some warmth. I'm not sure. Anyways, nice fragrance though. It is terribly expensive. The fragrance du Bois. If you can find a good deal, you might be able to get one for $350 odd, but these usually hover around the $400 range. And they are 100 mils, I do believe. Yes, 3.5 actually, a little bit bigger supposedly than 3.4. So I guess take it as it is. I think this is definitely a luxury product, like a lot of the Killians. Where you want to feel luxurious, you want to have a higher quality wearable fragrance for everyday situations. This is something that if you have the money, you could certainly smell very nice and approachable, and perhaps even a little bit playful, but still have class and sophistication. So this isn't for everybody. This is a little bit maybe for people who have the money, and maybe they're a little bit more posh, but It's nice. I can't beat it up too much, but there's a lot of other fragrances, as y'all know, that can have you smelling great for a lot less. Y'all know that. Anyway, it's Fragrance Du Bois, good house. I am excited to explore and smell more fragrances from this house. But again, a little bit exclusive, not for everybody, but nice creation. I was a little bit skeptical. I'd heard some naysayers from this house, and certainly you could say that there are better values out there. But the composition and the blending, from what I've smelled for the most part, it's been pretty darn good from Fragrance Du Bois. So I can't. So far, maybe I'll find one of them that the blending's not great, but I can't say. I can say the blending's pretty good as far as I can tell. So let me know what you think in that comment sections below. Let me know, do you like fancy, posh, everyday fragrances? Or if you're going to spend the money, do you want something exotic or unusual, strange, or complex? I kind of like to put my money more towards something that's unusual or rare or strange, but there's definitely people who will pay lots of money for an expensive citrus, the high quality citrus. So there's all kinds of different fragrance people. Let me know, what kind of fragrance person are you down below. I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching my channel here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And come back to make sure that you see my content. YouTube doesn't seem to like me. YouTube hides me. So I'll see you soon, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Smell amazing out there. Peace out and bye.